Turn that damn juice on!
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome in Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, joined alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Still coming off that high, I am sure, of the Arkansas-Tennessee game. I think we're finally getting to the point of, yes, it is a bye week, but we're still going to have a lot to talk about today. And fellas, how we feeling on a Tuesday? How's everything going as far as the vibes and everything?
Feeling good, feeling great. How are you?
That's a good Outkast song, if I'm not mistaken. That's what the first release. I think that's an Outkast song. I don't know, but yeah.
I can't sing, but I'll throw some lyrics out there for you guys. That's my contribution to this cause.
I like that. It's nice on this Tuesday because the bye week, the weight of the bye week has not set in yet. Like the length of it and the fact that we're going to be a little bit bored here for the next 10 days has not set in yet. So I'm still fired up. I'm still buzzing off the win. I'm still in good spirits. That could wane by Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, it's going to really start setting in once it becomes official. It's like, oh yeah, there is no Razorback football. But it will be nice though to just watch other games and just enjoy it. To enjoy a college football Saturday. So that'll be really good. But yeah, and just in fact, speaking of that, as a little reminder to everybody, SEC Basketball Media Days is actually early next week, and which really lines up pretty nicely for us. And we're going to be down there in Birmingham, all three of us, giving all the coverage up there for InsideArkansas.com, as well as doing Inside Arkansas Live and a lot of video content. Get to talk with Cal, as well as, if I'm not mistaken, Nellie Davis and Adu Thiero. So going to get that going on a Tuesday at, I think, was it, Curtis, 2:30 around there?
Yeah.
Cal goes. So
they give Cal the primetime slot. It's not a brand at Kentucky. It's a brand John Calipari. He gets what he wants. That's
right. In fact, that's why it took it so long for us to get the schedules. Cal's like, well, let me see where I can squeeze this in between doing all these other awesome things that I'm doing in life.
I got a dinner res.
Yeah, he's like, got to go to St. Elmo's here in a little bit. So we'll be down there, and on Sunday, and we're not hashing out the details, but we are going to be down at SARACEN Casino Resort in Pine Bluff, hanging out there for when the Arkansas tour goes down there for, of course, the kind of like a red-white game situation. So a lot of basketball coverage, even though I know it's football season, so just chill out, everybody.
Relax, everybody.
And just hold on a second. We're going to do some basketball. We'll do football, too. We will still talk about Sam Pittman's press conference next week. We'll still talk, but just relax. And this is your preparation. This is your warning that we're going to do some basketball next week. So just chill. All right? So enough said.
God forbid, on SEC Media Days for basketball, we discuss it a little bit. And yes, HH, we're going to talk a little baseball, too. We had a really good bombastic that went out yesterday, which I had fun doing. But also, I have a confession for both of you guys. So I get a lot of, anytime I get an email from either the U of A or the SEC or whatever, honestly, it doesn't really register at first. So, I saw the emails for, the lineups, SEC Media Days, but I really didn't look at it at all. Didn't even really, register with me at all. And I believe it was John texted in our group and said, Nelly and Adu at MD. And I just literally was like, Nelly and Adu Thiero, MD. I'm like, Maryland? I'm like, what does that text mean?
When I first saw it, I was thinking MD, like doctor, and I was like, "Oh crap!"
They're going to medical school. Okay, no, I literally sat there for 90 seconds. I was like, "What the hell is he talking about?" And then I kind of scrolled through my phone a little bit. And I was like, "Oh, okay. They're going to media days." Okay,
yeah. Well,
I really was thinking it was only just a dream.
I was like, now that you say that, I can tell that you two are obviously not the media day aficionados. You don't understand the lingo of the MD. Obviously, right. That only means media days. So, but yeah, well, I'm glad we got that cleared up. Yes, that's who will be joining him is Nelly Davis and Adu Thiero. So, should be a great time though. And of course, we'll have plenty of football talk throughout this week. And we, of course, want to get to your chats, folks. If you want in on the conversation, you can do so by hopping in the chat. You can also call in 478-344-6623 is that number. And guys, I know that we're obviously still kind of reacting to Arkansas and Tennessee a little bit, but you got to turn the page and look towards the bye week. But I can't tell you, and I'm sure you guys have had the same thing. If you've talked to people, whether it's some of our listeners or just people that we interact with on a daily basis, they're always talking about something to the extent of, oh man, they better do what they can to keep Travis Williams, or oh man, Travis Williams, he's going to be head coach next year. This stuff, and that's kind of what I was looking at with just the defensive numbers that Arkansas has had in SEC play. And if my math's correct, Arkansas is only giving up around 16 points per game in SEC play through 3 games. So the defense is really good. But the question is, can they maintain the defensive success that they've had so far through 3 SEC games the rest of the year? Do you feel like it's a sustainable thing that they can have, given the opponents that they're going to be going up against, but also given the personnel, the type of roster, assuming everybody stays healthy?
Maybe not at quite as high of a level as they're doing right now, because it's just been insane. But I am confident that Travis Williams and that defense will be able to consistently keep Arkansas in ball games and just successfully find ways to keep opposing offenses out of rhythm. That's been the biggest thing. Like, some teams will get yards, they'll have a big play here or there, or a drive here or there. But when is the last time we really saw an offense get into a sustained rhythm against Arkansas defensively? You just don't see it. I guess Tennessee had the back-to-back scoring drives, and then it was nothing. Punt, turnover on downs. That's a wrap. So from that standpoint, I'm really confident. Hopefully they get a little bit more healthy coming out of the bye week. I think that this is a group that's going to wind up finishing in the upper half of the SEC in a lot of those metrics that matter defensively.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be probably some regression just due to teams that they play and the fact that in SEC play, the defense has been unbelievable. Like, it's weird if you look at this Arkansas defense and what they've done this year. Their worst performances have been the UAB game and the Oklahoma State game. Whereas, like, if Arkansas played Oklahoma State this week, they might only hold those suckers to like 6 points, like, realistically. And so I think part of it is, they got to face the backup quarterback at Auburn, you got to face the backup quarterback at A&M, and so. And even if you face the backup quarterback with Texas, it's freaking Arch Manning. So, they're going to face some really good quarterbacks here down the stretch, starting with Garrett Nussmeier, who has a claim to being one of, if not the best quarterback in the SEC this season. And so these are real tests that Arkansas is going to have to face. And so I expect there to be at least some regression. But in terms of this Arkansas defense rising to the occasion and having a plan each week, I mean, it doesn't get any more impressive than coming up with an entirely new scheme 4 days before the game and being able to successfully implement that and make it work. So I do think this defense is going to present plenty of challenges to opposing offenses, going to have a good plan week in and week out, and they're going to play hard. I also think that they're just going to do they're really well-rounded as a defense. Like, they're not relying on turnovers. They're not relying on a ton of sacks. Their run defense has been pretty consistently solid, but it's not like they're so good in only 1 or 2 areas. Like, it's a pretty well-rounded group. So I think week to week, there will be weeks where they have 3 or 4 turnovers. There will be weeks where they have advantages in different areas. But I think overall, they're going to continue to play well. I just think that they're going to face better offenses down the stretch. But, weather's going to get colder. That usually tends to help out those defenses a little bit. So we'll see.
The beauty of it is that even if there is some regression to the mean, it works both ways, right? So even if the defense slips a little bit, it stands to reason. I think it's a fair assumption to make that Bobby Petrino's offense will gradually get better and better throughout the course of the year. There's a balance to be had here. So I think they're in a good spot.
Well, I was looking at just some of the rankings, and I'm totally not selecting the ones that I like to select and, looking at just only the good ones. But I was looking at just the overall stats. Because, hey, 6 games through the year, it's kind of a pretty good barometer. It's not like after 2 games. But where some of the defensive stats that Arkansas ranks right now in total defense, they rank 39th in the country. They are ranked 30th in the country in rush defense, 45th in pass defense efficiency, and also 33rd in the country in third down defense. So you're talking about a top 50 defense in most of the major statistical categories. But just like in recruiting, it's really funny because in almost all those rankings, they're like 9th in the SEC, except for rush defense, where they actually rank, they're 30th in the country, but they're 6th in the SEC there. But the reason I bring that up too is to give you really an idea of kind of where it stands nationally and how, it really looks good on paper, and it really looks good of what they're doing. I'm sure there's a way that we could go into and look at it from like the SEC games only, and maybe their stats would look a lot better. But considering where they were just a couple of years ago in the development and where they're standing now, if you would have told me Arkansas was going to have a top 50 defense in most of the major statistical categories halfway through the season, I would have been like, sign me up for that, because that's pretty incredible.
Night and day. Night and day. It's just been incredible. Travis Williams does such a good job. And honestly, everybody on that defensive staff. I mean, Deke Adams has been so much better than we thought he was going to be when he got hired, in pretty much every single way. Woodson, Wilson, all those guys. It's just a heck of a group. And we said it a million times, so I don't need to belabor the point, but wouldn't you love to play for those guys? Like the old cliche of running through a brick wall for somebody, that entire defensive stat, there's just, man, they got a swagger about them. I would love to play for those dudes. And it shows in recruiting and it shows on the team because every single one of those guys is locked in. Even dudes who are coming in and getting, 2 series a game or 8-9 snaps a game, they get the most out of them, no doubt.
Well, it's weird that, it's not even like they've had a ton of things go their way. I mean, they've had some injury misfortune. Arguably your best secondary player, Jalen Braxton, is out. Your most experienced secondary player, Hudson Clark, has only played a handful of snaps the entire season. And so, yeah, I think there's room for it to get a little bit better. And, they've played a lot of young guys in the front seven at linebacker and on the D-line, sometimes even at interesting times. But I think it's weird where I think there's actually a little bit of room for improvement if you look at it from that standpoint. Because some of these young guys that are playing on the D-line, like a Nico Davier, like a Quincy Rhodes, like a Jaffrard, it stands to reason that they could get a little bit better. And the linebacking crew, I think Brad Spence has had some really good moments as well. He's another one where I feel like there's players throughout each level of this defense who might be due for a little bit of a breakout down the stretch also, just as they're continuing to gain experience and get reps. And boy, they would really like to have Jalen Braxton back as well. I think he could add another level to what's been a really solid secondary anyway.
Yeah, that was the thing that I keep forgetting sometimes. Like, yeah, they've been doing this without their best defensive back in Jalen Braxton. He did not play against Auburn, did not play against Texas A&M, and did not play against Tennessee, and they're still holding their own. So getting him back is definitely going to be crucial when you're facing off some of these really good offenses that you're going to be. But you mentioned the linebackers. That is still something that I laugh at myself about thinking for the season, and even in the summer, I'm like, man, this linebacking is, I don't know, man. This is the weakest part. And how bad it's going to be. Everyone left. You got just a couple guys, a bunch of no names. And then we hear in the fall, it's like, it's the deepest group or it's down. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, buddy. I don't know what you're trying to blow smoke up. And here they are. We're like the linebackers have been, whether it's Xavier Sorey, Steven Dix has been great. Brad Spence has been making plays too. So that to me is also a huge shout out to Travis Williams, because I was a little worried about that, to be honest. I was worried about how, as a defense coordinator, I liked him. But then when every linebacker left after last season, and of all 5, I think 6 of them left and 5 of them are still playing college football somewhere else, it was just like, man, maybe it's not a very good linebacker coach, or maybe he doesn't connect with the players or something like that to have that many go missing. But then I was like, okay, well, after seeing the performances of what these guys have been doing and stepping up, I think that has been without question the most pleasant surprise. Because if I could have put money on what position group is going to struggle the most by far for the season start, I thought it was going to be the linebacking crew, but they're a group and they're a unit that I don't have to worry about right now.
Well, I think it was completely fair to feel that way coming into it, honestly. And it's really fascinating the way that it's played out. I mean, Sorey has been everything as advertised, which you hoped for coming from Georgia. You just didn't know because you hadn't seen it yet. And it's wild though, right? Because like Andrew just mentioned, Spence, he's had his moments, but he hasn't just jumped off the page just yet. Like, you feel like there's room for growth there. They go out and they get, Anthony Switzer, who, like, he's been out there, but he hasn't done a ton. They talked him up in camp. Larry Worth, who they've been moving around, he finally had a breakout game, but we hadn't even seen him for several weeks. But I'm sure, like, the bye week's a perfect time to kind of reflect on preseason predictions and where they're at now and everything. If we were to hand out, like, an unsung hero award or something, Steven Dix would have to be on that list, man. I mean, he has come on so strong out of nowhere. A guy that we didn't hear too much about in camp, other than, he's solid. And, man, he's just he really jumps off the page. He makes a great 1-2 combo with Sorey back there. He's fast. He'll hit you in the mouth. He looks the part. He's been really, really impressive. And he's one of those guys that I think, quote, doesn't get talked about enough. But I'm going to start talking about him a hell of a lot more. He's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. It was weird because during fall camp, like you said, we really didn't hear much about him at all. And they asked Travis Williams the story of how they got Steven Dix, and he's like, we needed linebackers. He was in the portal. we contacted him. Like, that was it. It wasn't anything more complicated than that. It wasn't like, oh, we saw the way he comes off the edge. Oh, we saw the way he covers sideline. It was just like, we needed linebackers. We knew he had experience. We brought him in, and turned out to be a huge hit there. And yeah, I mean, I think that just kind of speaks to the mentality of this group, of this coaching staff, where it's like, obviously they want to have really good players, but if you're not bought in on what they're trying to do, it's like, all right, we'll just go find another guy and we'll fill it in, and it's going to be perfectly fine. And, it's just been really crazy because, like you said, the linebacker was kind of the position group that we had all kind of circled. Turns out D-line, which is also in that, we lumped those two together. Turns out D-line was more of the issue, the one that we really needed to worry about. But even the D-lines had a lot of progression, I feel like, through 6 weeks, where I feel a lot better about that group overall than I did 3 or 4 weeks ago. Like, coming away from that Oklahoma State game, I was like, holy cow. Like, I don't know what they're going to do. But even that group has had some nice little progress here. And I just feel like it's a defense that plays in sync. And, we were talking about that with the O-line last night with Grant Cook. Having 11 guys that really do move in sync and all attack the football together, it's beautiful when you see it. And so with this Arkansas defense, it's like almost not even worth it to break it up into sections. I know there's all different positions and guys playing places. It's kind of all one unit, and they just all get after it together. And it's fun to watch, man. I can't wait to watch this group play again in a couple weeks.
We had that conundrum when we were doing our report card, Andrew, after the Tennessee game, when we were grading out the defense, and we were like, no, this group gets the A+. Nah, it's going to be the D-line. No, it's going to be the linebackers. Oh, damn, what about the secondary? It's hard to differentiate because you're right. They play together so well that it's hard to break them into individual groups.
Yeah, and there's going to be some opportunities for him coming up, to really showcase that and continue to get healthy and everything. But I love this super chat, of course. Appreciate it, from Hognell Tusk, saying Hudson Clark returns and Hogs shut down the number one offense. Can't be a coincidence, with some little island emojis. That's right. Or fly zone. No fly zone. He absolutely would have made that tackle at the goal line, if it wasn't at the goal line. I'm just saying.
You can't fly onto Hud Island, but you can drive a train onto it. That's kind of what happened at the goal line there.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And also shout out to Walmart. It says, here's your NIL for the week. This win made Razorback Nuggets 50. Well, the percentage sign 50. Is, off your local Walmart. Y'all keep up the good work. Appreciate it, Walmart. Thank you for doing that.
Also, don't go cite us at the Walmart when you try to get 50% off.
Yeah, we're going to start getting calls if that starts happening for false advertisement.
They made me pay full price for mine. I don't know what's going on.
Can't believe that. But yeah, and with the defense too, and getting healthy and everything, the Jalen Braxton angle is going to be really interesting to see when he comes back. Is it going to be right when it picks off where he picked up where he left off, or is it going to be kind of a transitional period? I don't really know, but it's, I think someone said it in the chat, and I was going to bring it up. Yeah, like Ross says, no way Braxton is out with just a bone bruise. I deal with these things all the time. I mean, it is kind of weird how sometimes these injuries that get listed, what we're told, it seems like it ends up being a lot longer of a period of healing than what we would assume from other people who have those same injuries.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And just thinking back to my medical background, it could be because they said tendonitis at first, and then Pittman said bone bruise. It could just be a thing where it just progressively gets a little bit worse or doesn't get better the way they think. And then you got to go in and take a deeper look, and you realize that maybe something else is going on. It doesn't have to be something major, but it could be something that kind of shifts that timeline. And with these SEC injury reports now, we really don't get those questions much with Sam Pittman because he's just going to refer to the injury report. Like it's kind of giving him an out to give any sort of details, which he doesn't have to. He could if he wanted to, whatever. But I agree that it's a bone bruise typically is not going to keep you out for has it been a month now? I mean, it's been a long time. So we'll see. If he's not back by this LSU game, then I think you really got to start wondering what the heck is going on.
Well, and what's interesting about it is similar to the Kutas situation, he returned to practice, if I'm not mistaken. And like there was a point where we were like, oh yeah, he's probably going to play. I can't remember which game that was. If it was A&M maybe, where it was like kind of a surprise when last minute it's like, oh yeah, actually he's not playing, which makes me think, did he re-injure? Did something happen? Like, because if he returned to practice, that would lead you to believe he's kind of making progress. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, he's confirmed out. So I'm wondering if there may have been a re-aggravation or whatever the case may be. And so, and with Kutas, man, by the way, I saw someone that was like, hope Kutas can get healthy in 2 weeks. Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. I think you should just wait until shown otherwise on the Kudos situation. Doesn't sound super promising. What's going to be interesting about this week is we're not really going to get any updates. I'm sure. Yeah. I don't know what. I mean, I guess Sam Pittman will still speak on the teleconference tomorrow, and so maybe we'll get a little bit of something there. But in terms of like Jalen Braxton, Taylon Green, or even Kudos, like we're not really going to get a ton until probably next week.
I was also going to address, because I think we talked about it yesterday, but Jeremy was like, hey, does anyone have idea about how long or if Taylon Green's going to miss time because of his injury? And just to reiterate, we don't know about that. Like, we don't know the extent of it. We just know he has an MCL strain or something to his MCL. Right. And they're hopeful that they can get him back for LSU. It's pretty much all we got. So
it definitely doesn't seem like a big picture injury. Like, I mean, look, we've been wrong on this before, so I don't want to do that. But especially because we're just kind of operating on what we're told. But it definitely doesn't seem like something that's going to keep him out for like the rest of the season, or like something that we're still talking about in 6 weeks. But who knows? I mean, again, these injuries are just weird, and we never really know, especially with practice being shut down. We have no idea what these guys are doing.
Yeah, I think he was still able to enjoy the victory Saturday night, so that's probably a good sign. And he wasn't like, he didn't have to get like carried off the field or anything crazy like that. So yeah, I think the question will be, how close to 100% is he? Like, how effective is he going to be able to be as a runner as that thing heals up? We'll see. I wish we could do practice, because even if he was out there, then you could see the little things like, okay, is he taped up? Do they have him in a full-on brace, or is it just like one of those protective sleeves? You can kind of get an idea of what you're dealing with based on how they got him doctored up, but we can't go out there and see it. So we won't know until Saturday, probably next Saturday.
So again, if you want in on the conversation, folks, 478-344-6623 is that number to call in. We can get to your Alumni Hall question of the day, of course, presented by Alumni Hall, the greatest of all apparel shops when it comes to all of your Razorback apparel needs. They got everything from Johnny O to Tommy Bahama to Southern Tide. They have everything right there in store at 3417 North College Avenue. You can shop them there. So a lot of you are going to be coming in for that LSU game. Might be a little chillier there by the time it gets to that nighttime. So you might get you some warm wear. Alumni Hall will get you all taken care of. Or you can shop them online at alumnihall.com/Arkansas-Razorbacks, and you can have it shipped directly to your door. It's Alumni Hall, the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. And it's a very simple one today, but I put it into multiple choice, which I know everyone gets pissy about if I don't give them the choices that they want, which is fine. But they said the pretty basic question is, how many more SEC games does Arkansas win this season? And the options I give, because I can only do 4, was 0-1, 2, 3, or 4-5. So put it up there. As of right now, I'm sure you guys looked at it, but what do you think is leading the way as far as percentages go for this?
I did not look at it, but I think the renewed optimism, I'll go 3.
Okay.
That's my guess to what's leading the way as well.
Yeah,
that's
my answer is
but it's what my guess as to what's leading the way.
Oh, well, you guys apparently underestimated Razorback fans. 2 is leading the way.
Really?
With 48%.
Them.
They're overestimated. Yeah, whatever. Over-unders. We don't talk about those. 48% has 2%, and 3 wins has it at 31%.
Okay.
And then 4-5 wins at 16.5%. And then 0-1, 4.5%. So,
all right,
2 wins. This is kind of what Razorback fans are feeling right now for the rest of the way, which of course would put them at 4-4 in SEC play, matching their best SEC record under Sam Pittman from 2021, and would theoretically also put them at 8-4 or 7-5, 7-5 in the season. So, I was actually surprised too. I thought that people would be flooding in the 3 to 4 to 5 range, but.
It's interesting. I mean, if you go, I put a story up. I was just up hanging out with my dog late last night, and I was like, you know what? I wonder what these bowl projections look like for Arkansas. So I wound up writing a story about it. But I was looking at that ESPN FPI, and it was pretty interesting. I mean, they project Arkansas to go 7-5, so kind of the same idea that people have in the poll here. Gave them a 92.4% chance to reach bowl eligibility. Those are pretty good odds. I don't know if you guys do math. Yeah. That's not bad. For what it's worth, and I love this, they gave Arkansas a 4.1% chance to make the college football playoff. What do you guys think about that? 4.1%. That's
4%?
That's not bad.
Dude, that's a lot. That's higher than we gave them yesterday.
It's significantly higher than their chances to make the SEC title game.
which makes sense actually.
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit.
it does. It's pretty cool, man. I don't know if you guys have looked at any of the bowl projections, but there's some pretty interesting stuff in there. Gasparilla Bowl down in Tampa against Virginia Tech. I don't know.
No longer the Outback Bowl, eh?
Yeah, worst places to go. There's a lot of Liberty Bowl options in there for whatever, but one of them from an ESPN writer has Arkansas facing Gus Malzahn, KJ Jefferson, UCF in the Liberty Bowl. That I would go to.
Yeah.
That I would go to. No,
you know, y'all ready to be annoyed?
Yeah.
Texas A&M right now is plus 115 to make the SEC title game.
That is
Texas
annoying.
is minus 250, and Texas A&M is plus 115, and that's the second best odds. Like that is technically currently projected to be the SEC title game. Imagine if Arkansas had just beaten A&M, which they probably should have done. Imagine what all these numbers would look like. They'd probably have like a 10 to 15% chance to make the playoff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And how horrible would that be if the SEC title game was just a rematch of the week before of Texas and Texas A&M?
Right.
That is going to be a little bit tough if like both teams have it clinched by then. But I haven't looked at A&M's schedule. I'm guessing they don't play anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I know they play Texas, obviously, but there's always those random games that could end up being, getting them a little bit. But I mean, for crying out loud, who knows in the SEC right now? It's pretty up in the air. But yeah, that's wild. So
when Arkansas played A&M, I didn't think like, hey, this is a juggernaut that is like a potential playoff team. I didn't think that Arkansas's playoff hopes rested on that game, but apparently
they look like a different group with that quarterback back in there, which I didn't know that I necessarily expected that, but my goodness, man, Wigman was slinging it.
Yeah, he was.
A&M folks thought that it was like a thing at first, I mean, by this point, with the way that they had played under Reed and how bad Wegman was against Notre Dame, maybe it turns out he was just hurt against Notre Dame. I think that's in hindsight, that's probably what happened.
Maybe so, yeah. John, you'll be happy to know that there is a Vegas Bowl projection for Arkansas right now. And it's from ESPN. So
okay,
there you go.
Who they have them playing?
Washington State.
Oh, that would be weird. That'd be a weird bowl game. A lot of weird people
down in Vegas.
Yeah, that'd be strange. But I take it.
The final team to play a Pac-12 opponent.
Right.
That's right. That's right. Be the last one standing there. But we can agree that in order to make the playoff, it has to be like I just don't think they can do it 9-3. I really don't think they can. I think 10. I think they have to win out to get into the playoff.
I think they could do it with 9-3. If they now here's the thing, they would have to beat Texas. Like
if they beat Texas and Ole Miss.
Yeah, like if you split the Texas game, the Texas and Ole Miss game, say
you lose at
Ole
Missouri
Miss,
or something.
Yeah, so like you beat Texas, beat Missouri, beat LSU, and you're 9-3 with like some good wins there. I would have to really like my brain would have, or maybe you'd have to beat Ole Miss because I guess Ole Miss would be in contention with you.
But see, my only argument to that would be that, if you get to the point of at the end of the year, it's always like, what did you do for me lately? And I feel like they almost have to beat Missouri. Like, because.
Oh, well, they would have to beat Missouri for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking from a standpoint of a road game, you might not get dinged as much.
Yeah.
But it also depends on whether Missouri is actually good at the end of the year or not.
Yeah.
Which is very suspect.
They might be 6-5 or something going into that game. And then, you got to get it. So.
In the bye week fun, we're here talking about Arkansas's path to the playoff and how they can do it.
Hey, the analytics say there's a chance. We got to talk about it.
Yeah, it's not just us blowing smoke. There's analytics. There's numbers that are backing up these claims.
I hate to keep bringing it up, but that Oklahoma State game, good Lord, dude,
brutal.
These conversations would be so much more fun if they just hadn't lost to a bad team.
I know, and that's what is going to be the most frustrating thing that. Hopefully we don't look upon in the past. Like, say if they won't go 9-3, but they just barely missed the playoff for like freaking Oklahoma State game, man. Because they have it to where for the playoff, the top 4 teams get a bye, and then the next 4 teams get to host a playoff game on their campus, correct? And then they play the last 4.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll take a playoff game no matter how it comes, but. If they go 10-2 and they found a way to host a playoff game in Fayetteville, Arkansas, dude, man, like I don't like. There'd just be a whole nother element to it, whole nother level of insanity. Just like we all thought, one of the first home playoff games in college football history. would happen in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
That'd be nuts.
Then they'd be the ones that hosted it. So
Hopefully they repaint the end zones before that happens. So.
yeah, I don't think you can rush the field in playoff games. Could you? Would that be extra not allowed?
Yeah, I don't know. I think someone's going to do it.
Yeah, I bet they do.
Because it's
I
not
don't think Arkansas can do it since they've already used theirs for the year, but someone will definitely rush the field in a playoff game at some point.
Because it's not technically like it is with college basketball, college baseball, where it's an NCAA event. It's college football playoff, which is completely separate. So I don't know if they have do the college football playoff people come in and run the ceremonies and stuff? I guess that's how it works.
Maybe they don't find you as bad.
Yeah, maybe they don't find you. And but what about the ceremony in the middle of the field? I don't know how that's going to go, but it'll be fun. Well, let's just make that
we'll
manifest.
It out whenever Arkansas hosts, we'll
Yeah.
figure it out then.
Yeah. I'd be throwing up the whole week leading up to that, like a playoff game happening. So, also, real quick, just a random note, but shout out for actually, we can go ahead and use this as part of our Arkansas update presented by Davis and Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owners insurance agency, securing what matters the most. Top college football audiences from this past weekend. Number 1, Tennessee and Arkansas, 5.3 million viewers on ABC, which I listen. It was a great game. It's on ABC. That's the main one and all that. But a lot of that has to do with Tennessee too, because Tennessee has a ton of fans that were really into their team because they were a top 5 team. So that definitely helps. But Auburn and Georgia was at 4.9, Iowa, Ohio State at 4.5, and Michigan, Washington was 4.4, and then Missouri, Texas A&M 3.3 on there. So
I also feel like just playing on ABC at 6:30, like they could put in a game there, and it's gonna do pretty good numbers.
Yeah, that's definitely going to help out. So shout out to that. And also, as we mentioned, SEC Media Days for basketball next week. Tuesday, John Calipari will be bringing in Nelly Davis and Adu Thiero as part of that process. And it'll be going at 2:30 on Tuesday. It's going to be interesting with us being down there to see 16 coaches and players going in one day. It was already pretty stressful and crazy for 14. Now 16 in one day, it's
going to be a marathon, man. Yeah. I was disappointed to see that Texas is not bringing Tremont Mark because I really wanted to talk to him. They're bringing a freshman. They're bringing a freshman and a returner, but not T. Mark.
The real question is Missouri bringing the entire team again? That's the question.
I didn't see a super long list, but I don't care enough about Missouri basketball to have looked at who they're actually bringing. But that's pretty funny.
I'm pretty sure last year they had only 2 players listed, but they brought the whole team anyways, if I'm not mistaken.
That they absolutely did.
And they're all wearing their jerseys.
Update, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I have an Arkansas update, and I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone and appease young sea lion and talk basketball. Humor me, people, for just a second. Visit news that came out today. Sean Abayev, he's a class of 2025 guy, borderline 5-star. He's a 4-star right now, but he's kind of in that top 25-ish range. 6'7", lefty wing, one of the best scorers in the 2025 class. Like he's a one-on-one matchup nightmare. He looks like a bunch of those wings that Cal used to bring to Kentucky. He was flirting with the visit, messing around with some dates. He's down in Florida, and he's escaping the hurricane by coming to Fayetteville. He'll be here tomorrow. And so that's a big one. Like you just had Malik Thomas on campus, big time top 10 5-star. We heard some good stuff about that visit last night, didn't we, John?
Yeah, we did.
And, which was very interesting. And now, Abayev coming in tomorrow. He'll be in town through Friday, and that's a big one for Arkansas. You know, he's not a top 10 5-star like everybody else they brought in, but this is a dude who's a real deal and could rise up to that range and would be a nice get. So a lot of competition, but getting him on campus, that's a game changer.
Yep. And we got a lot of interesting tidbits last night while we were at the Leroy. So that was really good. But yeah, basketball. I just assume they got him. If they want him, they got him.
Yeah,
so
man.
He's coming to Arkansas. Just go ahead and book it. That's the way it's going to be. Do want to give another shout out to one of our residential sponsored chats here on our Super Chats Witty. No player jokes at all. It's crazy. But I lost 600 on that game. Don't remind me.
Oklahoma State, is that what he's talking about?
I
guess so.
Because he followed up and said he bet 400 on the A&M game as well.
Yeah, there we go. Yep. And then Tennessee is the one he didn't bet on, and that's the one. Yeah. I actually won really good money for the Tennessee game because I had the parlay of betting Arkansas plus 14.5, and then also got in on the under. So
Well, I won money on all three of those games because I had Arkansas spread in all three of those games. A&M, Oklahoma State, and Tennessee. Did not have Arkansas money line. Actually, I had Arkansas's first half money line thanks to Curtis.
Yeah,
that was a huge one.
So basically, you know your bets.
Yeah. At the time, I would have been. At the time, I thought I was like, man, this is great that I got the first half money line because there's no way they freaking win this game.
This is the first time in my betting history that I went an entire weekend and did not win a single bet. Not one. Not even the small. I didn't win a damn thing. Nothing. Zero. Lost everything. It was brutal.
That's rough.
Damn, absolutely brutal.
There's always next week. There's always next week to win your money back.
Because I was smart this time and I didn't bet everything that I had in my account for a change, so I'm still in a good spot.
There you go. Smart man. There you go. Yeah. I do want to move on to another topic too, because again, we're sticking with the football side of things. Is that again, midway point in the season, you're reflecting it's a bye week and everything. But I was thinking about this last night when I was talking to my dog Rowdy. I don't know why I was thinking about this, but Arkansas has that, we know the ups and downs, and there's times where the defense has looked really good, and there's times where they looked a little suspect. There's times that offense looked good, then suspect. Times quarterback looked good, but then suspect. Running backs look good. Like everything has kind of been all over the place. So the question I want to ask everybody, and I'll ask you guys, that for the final 6 games of the year, you get one player to put all your stock in, to bet the house on, all the money that you've lost over the weekend, Curtis, all that money to put on one player that's going to be the guy, consistent and everything the rest of the year. Who are you putting all your money in right now and buying that stock?
The guy that I think it's going to be, or the guy that I really want it to be?
Give me both.
I really want it to be Taylon Green.
Yeah, that helps.
But I'm putting all my stock in Andrew Armstrong. He is quite literally Mr. Reliable. He doesn't have bad games. He doesn't make mistakes. And I'm not just saying that because his parents are listening right now. He's the man.
I mean, it's hard to bet against Armstrong. I think he's the safest possible bet on the team. Like just week to week, I really think he is. Unless you're betting anytime touchdown, because the Arkansas Razorbacks do not throw him the ball in the red zone. Am I allowed to say Landon Jackson?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
I would like to bet an Andrew Jackson, the $20 bill, on Landon Jackson.
There we go.
But I do. I mean, look, he's. It's weird to say quietly. He's quietly putting together a pretty good season. I guess he's now up to like 3 sacks or 2.5 sacks, somewhere in that range. And I think he's probably got a few more left in the tank. Like, I think he's going to end up being a borderline all SEC type of guy. His PFF grades are just steadily climbing each week. I think he's a pretty safe bet. But yeah, I'm with Curtis. Where like, I kind of want to say Taylon Green. Would like to see him take that next step. But I don't know, man. I mean, I also, we haven't talked about this at all. Are we assuming Jaquin Jackson is completely healthy?
I was going to bring that part of it up, actually.
I'm not assuming that.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't really spoken about it at all. I mean, when he got hurt, it didn't seem like super. It seemed like more of he got the wind knocked out of him or kind of just banged up. But if he's fully healthy, I feel like he's someone you got to mention here too.
Nobody's talking about the fact that he wasn't in the game on that last possession. We all knew that Taylon was out and Singleton was in. And it obviously worked out with Braylon Russell in there, but to not have Jaquin Jackson in the game in that moment means he's probably actually not able to go back in there. So.
Yeah, which that was kind of the whole point of maybe asking this question, is because if it was a week or two ago, I would have said Jaquin Jackson, just because it's Jaquin Jackson. And I still think he's at that point, and I still think he's a great player. But there's no doubt that the past couple of games, he just hasn't had anything to get going. I mean, I guess his best play on Saturday was on that crucial third down when Arkansas was on their own inch line. Almost had a safety, and he caught that pass and went down the sidelines. It was pretty much the best play that he had. And so it's weird how this time changes, and just a couple of weeks can change a lot of things. Because to me, Andrew Armstrong's the obvious answer here. I think that's the one that, if you could find someone who's been the most consistent all year, it's been Andrew Armstrong. But as far as someone I want it to be, and I know that this may be a little bit weird, but it's just because I feel like if we could see more out of him and be able to have him have a great year too. Landon Jackson's going to be fine, but I'm going to go with Cam Ball. I'm not going to go Hudson Clark, Andrew. I know you're shaking your head. I was going to say Hudson Clark.
The way you were saying it, I thought you were about to say Luke Has for a second there.
No. Well, I mean, yeah, like he does exist. We know that, but that's about it. But no, I was going to go with Cam Ball just because I think Landon Jackson is gonna be. He's great, man. Like he's a great player. He's been a great player. He didn't do much in the beginning, but now he's really starting to come along. But imagine if you have like a guy, like you got two of those. Imagine if you have Landon Jackson and then you got that interior guy that can just really be counted on. It'll be, I'm not going to use this example, but it'll be like that Trey Flowers, Darius Philon type of thing, where that Bermuda Triangle, which if you have two of those guys getting after it, then it's going to open it up for the linebackers to make plays. And as much as you want to have a great and successful offense, there is something just dadgum sexy about a defense that is going to just eat dudes alive and throw you off of your game. So I want it to be that because I think the offense will be fine at times. I think there'll be parts of the defense that'll be fine. But man, having two just baller defensive linemen on the outside and in the inside would really change and make it really hard for these teams and these great offenses are going to be facing here in the next few weeks and make them pay for it.
It was good to see Cam Ball get into the backfield and get that sack against Tennessee because he is well, first, he's a large, physically imposing human being. But secondly, anytime if you see him at practice or if you catch him in front of a microphone or a press conference or whatever, he's got people would love this guy if they got to hear from him more. He's got some swagger about him. I love his attitude. But for a defensive lineman, it's kind of tough. Like you don't get that many opportunities to celebrate unless you get back there and get the quarterback or get a TFL. So you saw that, and then you saw his little celebration afterwards. Like he's the kind of guy that fires you up. I am back on board for the Stone Cold third down music because of Cam Ball. Because I felt like it had to be a John Ridgeway type guy, but Cam Ball, he makes it okay for them to continue doing that on third downs, in my opinion.
Well, and I'll just be honest with you guys, and I know people are going to not like this. This past week was the first time that I was like, hey, there's Cam Ball.
Exactly.
I had been pretty underwhelmed by his junior season, if I'm being honest with you. Mm-hmm. He had been on such a positive trajectory. I mean, he played as a true freshman, played a lot more as a redshirt freshman, was a legitimate impact player as a redshirt sophomore. So you just assumed as a redshirt junior, he was going to be one of your dudes. And he just hadn't been that until, this past couple of weeks. His PFF grade is still, I believe, below 60 for the year. It just hasn't been a super impactful guy. And we know it's in there. We know he's capable. I mean, he was better last year than he's been this year. And so I agree. I think he's a good one where kind of like with Landon Jackson, we knew early in the year, we knew at some point he was due. Like he was going to start making some plays. And so I feel like down the stretch, the last 6 games, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up really taking another step and goes into next year as one of the more hyped defensive linemen in the SEC.
I like what kind of Jason said in the chat, and it's kind of what I was thinking too. How about Eric Gregory, the NCAA football simulation All-American, get him going too, which would be awesome. Which I don't know if you guys saw his celebration as soon as the game ended, because he was the one who was trying to chasing Nico out of bounds or whatever.
Yeah.
And you could, I'm not going to try to speak for him, and maybe I just misread this because, it's just like in a moment, but it almost looked like he was like me and so many others of like, wait, we won? We won? Oh, the rest of the field, we won. Like it was kind of like he hesitated almost of like how much time's left and everything. But so that was kind of funny because
he was probably stunned that the quarterback ran out of bounds with no time left on the clock.
He was like putting his hands up, waiting for the throw. It's like, oh, there's no throw.
Man, and just like I know it's always not trying to pile on, but man, could you imagine if the roles were reversed and that was Arkansas's quarterback? Like if that was like Taylon Green that did that, the game on the. Oh my goodness, man, it would be rough. It would be absolutely rough.
We'd have to disconnect the phone lines.
Yeah, just been like phones are dead. Phones are dead. AT&T, Ozark Go did it to us. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's see. David says, "What's your take on Harris moving to right tackle in place of Blackstock?"
Okay, so this is interesting, and I wanted to touch on this a little bit. So there's been like some murmurs in the streets, murmurs from a friend of mine who, let's just say he knows offensive linemen at the University of Arkansas, who has been saying this is a thing that might happen during the bye week, that Marion Harris might move out to the outside. And he says Blackstock might just move into the inside, which I don't know if Blackstock's ever played guard before. We know Harris is the guy that like they could play at tackle, guard, center. I've always felt that if Kudus were able to come back, that would be the answer, moving Harris to right tackle. I'll be very interested to see if they say anything about that either Wednesday or Monday if Pittman's asked about it, if there's any shuffling on the O-line, because I think Harris at right tackle is definitely something that they are considering. And I think it makes a lot of sense because they've had a lot of trouble on the right side, and Harris has had a lot of experience here lately, and they feel pretty good about him. I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think if you look at Marion Harris, he looks more like a tackle than he does a guard. Like he's kind of got that long, rangy look to him. I think it makes a lot of sense. And so it'll be very interesting to see what that looks like. The problem is, who do you have at left guard if you make that move? I don't know if Blackstock is the guy there. Who knows if there's, maybe someone else moves around, but it's not going to be Patrick Kudus because I don't think he's coming back anytime soon.
Not at
Marion
all.
Harris, he's athletic enough to be out there playing on the edge like that.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing with Blackstock. People run right around him, right by him. And he's having a hard time picking up some of that stuff off the edge. And then he's just not moving well laterally to be able to do it. So if you have a guy who really struggles with speed on the outside, but you got a guy on the inside who's athletic and good against speed, then it makes sense to, consider moving that around a little bit. And, and maybe Sam Pittman is a man of his word where he said, we don't feel like a personnel change is going to help us, but moving the same personnel around, he didn't say anything about that, did he? So there you go.
Well, all I know is that they need to get into the NCAA EA Sports video game and up Marion Harris's ratings from a 71. He's better than that. They need to get after that.
Blackstock is 77.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you have a cowboy collar, that's a guard type of thing. He looks like if you look at Blackstock, he looks like a guard.
He does.
If you look at Harris, he looks like a tackle. So it kind of does make sense.
Yeah. Also, Josh was saying, we were talking about Andrew Armstrong. He's like, how about Andrew Armstrong's draft stock in the NFL? I don't.
A pretty high floor, but you don't really see fifth year seniors get drafted first round unless something crazy happens. I feel like he's like a third, fourth round pick, most likely. But one of those is you're a pretty safe bet that he's going to make a roster and he's going to make a team and make some plays. But I'll be interested to it's tough to find, especially this time of year, to find NFL draft projections that go past 12 picks. They really like to do here's a first round mock. So if you're not in the first round, you have no idea if you're maybe a second, third, sixth, seventh. But I feel like he's definitely going to get drafted though.
Yeah. If he goes at this pace and keeps it up, hopefully gets a touchdown and doesn't have 1,000 yards and no touchdown. But yeah, I think a third round, fourth round pick, especially if he goes to the combine, ends up having some good measurables and interviews well, everything like that. Yeah, I think he'll be up there too. And I also like this from Big KG says, since it's the bye week, will you guys be doing a simulation of the LSU game this Thursday with everyone out? Braxton, Green, Kudus, etc. No, we're saving that for next Thursday. So be on the lookout for that.
We wouldn't just do it with limited information. They're gonna play LSU next week, so I guess that just makes sense to wait and do it then. And plus, then we can find out for sure if some of these guys will be in, out, whatever.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated on it. Don't worry. But we'll see how that goes. And the simulations, there's no longer 100% accuracy because they got beat pretty handedly.
They missed.
Yeah, they missed on that. Unfortunately, but we'll still keep doing it because it's still a lot of fun in that way.
Hey, but we did have Singleton playing down the stretch in our simulation.
We did, for different reasons.
Just saying, there's always something that's accurate.
Yeah, we're gonna find any little piece of details that we can find to make it accurate. We're gonna make it work. All right, well, let's go ahead and do a little bit of buy or sell here on the show, presented by BetSaracen. It is the best sports betting app in the state, hands down, no questions asked. So if you want to win a lot of money, there's only one way to do it. It's with the BetSaracen app. You can download it via your iPhone or your Android. You can also go to BetSaracen.com and play that way too. And as a reminder, we're going to be down there on Sunday, live streaming from their sports book, as the Arkansas Razorback basketball team will be down there as part of their Tour Day Arkansas or whatever it is called, the Razorback Tour, basketball tour, the tour of something. So, but whatever it is, tip-off tour. Yeah, there we go. I know it was basketball-related words and lingo, but still. We'll buy or sell action. So we'll start off with this, since we talk about defense. Buy or sell that Arkansas has a top 5 defense in the SEC.
Buy.
Hold on. I want to give an educated answer on this. Let me think about this for a second.
Right now, or just, right now you can't argue it.
In SEC play, yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. I'm trying to think of who is definitively up there.
Bama sucks defensively this year.
Yeah, they got exposed pretty bad. They've given up 80 points in their last 2 games.
Can't say Tennessee's better.
I'll give Georgia a nod and say they have a better defense.
Yeah. Texas A&M.
Kentucky has a really good defense.
Yeah.
I feel like Texas does too.
You know who's sneaky, one of the best defenses in the SEC? The Ole Miss Rebels.
Ole Miss, yeah.
I mean, Tennessee, frankly, is one of those. I'll say top 5. I'll say Arkansas's 5. Like, I think they're in that, like,
I'll go there.
In that range. Yeah, top 5 defense. Yeah, bye.
Yeah. As far as total defense goes in SEC ranks, Tennessee's still technically number 1. Then Texas at number 2, Kentucky at number 3, and then Ole Miss at number 4, Missouri at 5, and then South Carolina at 6, which was a little surprising. And then Georgia's at 7. That's just one statistical category is total defense, but still just to give you a little reference. But I'm buying it too. I mean, you have gone through 3 SEC games, and the team that scored the most on you was 21 points, and you've held 2 other opponents to 14.
That's kind of my thing with it. The teams just don't score on Arkansas. Like there might be games where they get yardage or whatever, and we talk about how good Arkansas has been against the run. They've given up well over 100 yards to individual running backs back-to-back weeks, but it doesn't matter. It was nothing super sustained. They just keep everybody out of rhythm, man. And if you can't score points on them, at the end of the day, that's all that matters to me. We talk about how many passing yards they give up or how many sacks they don't get or whatever. If you're not scoring any damn points, you're not going to beat them. So I think I'm on board with the top 5 thing. I'm in there.
Yeah, and I mean, they're pretty well-rounded, and I feel like 2 weeks ago, people would have unanimously said Oklahoma was a top 6, 7 defense in the SEC. I think if you just crunch the numbers of how Oklahoma did against Auburn and Tennessee, Arkansas is a better defense than them. I feel like they're a good barometer because that's a good defense, and Arkansas is better than them. All
right, so this is an interesting one because he still technically leads the SEC in rushing, but buy or sell that Jaquindon Jackson will lead the SEC in rushing at the end of the year. He still is the leader now. I think it's by 20 yards.
I don't think he is, by the way. I think he's no longer the leader in rushing, and I don't think he's going to finish the year in leading the country or leading the SEC.
Are you trying to tell me that Instagram lied to me?
Yeah, he's like 4th or 5th in the SEC in rushing now, I believe.
Well, shoot. Well, look at them just completely destroyed that. Just wrecked my entire question. I may have been like one of those old posts there. I swore that it said that.
Moss is now the leading rusher in the SEC with 609 yards.
Oh, there
he had
you go.
A huge game the other day. And I believe the Dylan Sampson kid he passed him the other day.
And then Henry Parrish, Jr. I'm seeing it now. Yeah.
I think
Instagram lied.
I think Jaquindon's going to finish near the top, but I don't think he's going to lead the SEC in rushing.
I think he's going to wind up middle of the pack-ish because there's still a lot of good defenses on Arkansas' schedule, first of all. And second of all, I get the hunch now that Braylon Russell is going to start getting more and more carries. He's not going to surpass Jaquindon Jackson on that, but we might be getting to a point where it's not a turn and hand it to Jackson 20 times type of deal. Maybe that goes to 16 or 17 and you get Russell up into double-digit carries. I think that could impact it as well. But he could also go out there and run for 250 on Mississippi State and Louisiana Tech and just really bump himself right back up there. So that's not outside the realm of possibility. He could do it on like 11 freaking carries.
Yeah, he's also, only 43 yards short, I guess, from Le'Veon Boss. So it's not like there's a large gap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the SEC rushers, they're all way up there. And I mean, also Jackson has 10 touchdowns and Dylan Sampson, I believe, has 12. But they're leading the league by a good margin there. Did y'all know Talon is no longer the SEC quarterback rushing leader? Which I guess that happens when you have 2 weeks of like 1 combined rushing yards. But the Vanderbilt kid he passed him by like 8 or 9 yards.
Well, Talon Green's still
8th in the SEC in total rushing.
Oh wow,
John, you'll appreciate this. Rocket Sanders, 11th in rushing at 315 yards, and Jaquindon is 4th at 566. So safely in control of winning that bet for you.
Yep, that hot take that I had that I'm still sticking with. But Talon Green though is still 3rd in passing in the SEC. Yeah. So that definitely helped himself. And he's not passing. No one's passing Jackson Dart. I mean, good grief, dude's got 2,100 yards already.
How far up did Talon Green go in completion percentage? I got it right here.
Maybe top 15.
He moved up 1. He passed Marcel Reed. He is not last in completion percentage in the SEC anymore.
All right. Well, he's up to he cracked 60. 60%. It's good. It's good stuff. In conference play, he's 57%, but who's counting there? All right, buy or sell that Travis Williams will be a head coach next year.
Oh man, I'm afraid I'm buying it.
I'm afraid I'm buying it too. You know, it's crazy. And this is just like our brains are so broken because we've spent all of 2024 speculating on how this Arkansas situation is going to play out with Sam Pittman in particular. The only way Travis Williams is not a head coach next year is if Sam Pittman is still the head coach at Arkansas. That's kind of how I view it. Yeah. Like I feel like if Sam Pittman moves on and Arkansas has a different head coach, and I don't mean Sam Pittman getting fired. I'm saying if Sam Pittman moves on, everybody relax. I think if they go a different direction, I think Travis Williams is 100% going to be a head coach somewhere else. But I don't know. So I'm just going to go buy. I'm going buy.
I'm probably buying it too. Just because if he continues to have this type of year, if the Arkansas defense continues as this type of year, they're going to be people, and it's just going to piss off Razorback fans saying this, but it's just the truth. There are going to be people to be like, well, shoot, if he can do that at Arkansas, imagine what he could do here. And so he'll get that. He's relatable. Like the kid, it seems like he's real. He's young. He's energized. He's got a lot of passion. He's got a good resume of places he's been. So, yeah, I think that if he continues to have this way, a lot of teams. I don't know if it's going to be like Florida hiring him, but he'll get a decent job.
He's young enough too to where getting a good group of 5 job would be something that could probably appeal to him. And also, I don't want to be that guy, but what if Bama is looking for a defensive coordinator after this season, or, a real high profile job? He's going to be on radars for that as well. And not that I don't think Arkansas will try to pay up to keep him and everything like that. I'm sure they do everything they could, but you also, like, even if Sam Pittman is retained returns and all that, you kind of have a natural replacement in-house because you do have a co-DC already. You know what I mean? So I worry about it, man. I hope they freaking keep him, but I worry about it.
I should also mention there's a non-zero chance that he's the Arkansas head coach. I wouldn't say that's necessarily projected to happen or something I would bet on, but I also think, like, if we're talking about will he be a head coach next year, it doesn't specify where or how or what it looks like. So, like, there's possibilities here. I mean, like, Travis Williams he's in a good spot. I mean, coaches work their entire lives to get to the spot that Travis Williams is in now, where the world is kind of his oyster, where, like, he could, I mean, if he wanted any of these job paths that we just laid out for him, he pretty much can pursue any of it. He's going to have his pick of the litter, but I think Hog fans are hoping and praying that he sticks around as the DC for at least another year. And I think that's also still very much in play as well. I'm not trying to like speak it into existence.
Well, this is random, but I know we were talking about earlier, I guess you mentioned it, Curtis, of having the Stone Cold music coming back for third downs. The game on Saturday, I will admit, they only played Stone Cold once on third downs. They mixed it up. And one of the things that they were doing, because it was either a timeout or maybe something before third down, but I was hoping it kind of became a thing. I don't think fans really understood what it was, but they just started playing his viral video of, yeah, coach. And it started having these like highlights in between. And then you hear the, yeah, coach. And people started getting into that. I was like, that'd be kind of, if they can make that a thing, with Travis Williams on a third down, just, yeah, coach, getting after it. Like, that'd be cool. So
I like that.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Buy or sell that Taylon Green will be the starter against LSU?
Hell, I don't know. There's no point in even reasoning this out. I'll buy it.
All right.
I'll buy it as well. Mostly just because I feel like if it were a bad injury that like really was like bothering, like they were stressed about, we would have heard about it one way or another. Like the scuttlebutt would have been pretty loud if like they really thought they were preparing as if Singleton were going to start for sure against LSU. But who knows?
I don't think they've even practiced since then. Like, we don't know anything. We don't know shit.
Yeah, it's true. But they better I like Malachi and everything, but man, it's going to really change the confidence level if Taylon Green can't be your starter against LSU. Just being honest. Yeah. But I was actually curious too. What do you guys think the line opens up in that? Has it been a thing yet? Has it gotten out there yet? I guess I need to check BetSaracen, but for the Arkansas LSU game, I think Arkansas opens as a favorite.
So I really do think that Arkansas will open as a favorite against LSU, even if it's just 1 or 2 points. Now, of course, if LSU goes out there and beats Ole Miss 38-21, that changes. But I mean, look, the ESPN FPI is not the end-all be-all by any means. But it is a good, like, usually the spread is not terribly far from it. I think it's going to be a very close spread. I think the worst case scenario is you'd see like LSU by like 2, like something like that, and that's if they play really well against Ole Miss. I think Arkansas is going to have a chance to be like, it's going to be a round of pick 'em. I really do.
Yeah, I would say that too. I think Arkansas will come out as like a 2-point favorite, something like that. Try to see if there's any futures on that to Saracen, but there's nothing yet on that particular game.
And I feel like there's sites that do this where like they're like you can take any 2 teams, put them on whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I know Saracen before, like it was early in the year before the season started. They had him like LSU as a 9.5-point favorite, like well beforehand. But obviously that's going to change, and that's not going to be the case here. All right, and the final one: buy or sell that Arkansas, the Hogs, will win 2 out of the next 3 games at home against SEC opponents.
I'm selling it.
Yeah, I think I'm selling that too.
So they win 1 of 3.
I feel like the LSU and Missouri games are the splits here, where like I think I could see them going 1-1 in that situation regardless. And so I think the LSU game is kind of 50-50, and I think the Ole Miss Texas games are lower than 50-50.
Okay, so you like their chances against LSU a lot more than Ole Miss.
I do like their chance. I mean, but who knows? We'll see LSU and Ole Miss play this weekend, so maybe I'll feel a little bit differently. That would be quite the surprise if it turns out LSU's a juggernaut and Ole Miss is just average. But no, I think I don't know, man. We don't know anything.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun.
Is Ole Miss coming off a bye when they come to Arkansas, or did I make that up?
I don't know.
Maybe they just. I don't know. I feel like I remember us preseason talking about that.
Like looking at the teams that have bye weeks. Yeah.
Big picture. No, I do not. I sell that Arkansas is going to win 2 out of 3.
They are not coming off a bye week. They play Oklahoma the week before they play Arkansas. Mm-hmm. So and they get them at home.
Will rough them up.
Yeah, that's what.
Now. I've heard otherwise for a long time now. Oklahoma's trash. It might as well be a bye week for Ole Miss.
I mean, dude, at that point, again, who knows what college football or even the SEC is going to look like at that point? Like, geez, I mean, Vanderbilt beat Alabama. We're at the point to where anything's possible at this point in time in the SEC. So,
isn't this the year you wish Arkansas played Alabama? Weirdly,
of course it is. Like, yeah,
I don't want to say wish, but like, it's kind of crazy how that works out. The one time they don't play Alabama, you're like, you know.
Yeah, kept waiting for it, but it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen for them. So, but yeah, that was buy or sell here on Inside Arkansas, and appreciate BetSaracen being a part of Inside Arkansas each and every day here on the show. A few of your chats, though, that we do want to dive into there. David says, if TG can't go for LSU, how confident are you in if Malachi runs with the ones all week long?
John, you kind of addressed that a second ago, but I'd be more confident than I was prior to this Tennessee game, but it would definitely impact it in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
If Taylon Green does play against LSU, I feel pretty confident. I predicted this win in the preseason. I feel even better about it now. If not, like I'm not saying it's an impossibility, but there's a difference in a quarter and how everything went down there in an entire game when there's some film on you and people can game plan. So Arkansas would have the benefit of Malachi getting plenty of reps with the ones and settling in a little bit, but that's still a tough ask.
Yeah, when we were just talking about the betting line, it certainly would not be in Arkansas's favor if Malachi Singleton were the starter in this game. So I guess that's kind of the X factor.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like devoid of any confidence.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. The thing is, LSU's offense is, I mean, I know we just said Tennessee's offense was supposed to be the best Arkansas had faced all year and they shut them down. So like, I'm not going to be surprised if Arkansas shuts down LSU, but Nussmeier's a good quarterback, man. He's better than I thought he was. LSU's offense is actually pretty sneaky dangerous. And so if there's any route to this being like a back and forth 31-28 type of game, I just don't know if I have a ton of confidence in a redshirt freshman to go out there in his first career start and make that happen and kind of go toe-to-toe with one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC. But again, I mean, if Arkansas is playing the way they played last week, if it's a ugly, 20-17 type of game, you feel a little bit better. But ultimately, yeah, I don't feel super confident. Though it would be worth noting that like he would have essentially 2 weeks to prep for it. And so, we'd probably see a better version of Malachi Singleton than we've seen so far.
It would kind of, and looking at it in a baseball perspective, Andrew, it would kind of remind me of if you have a pitcher who can come in, as a relief or a starter. There's quite a difference when it's like, okay, hey, I got to go in. I'm going with the energy and the emotions. I'm just going to go in and do my thing. To, okay, you're the starter. You have to prepare like the starter. You have to be with the starter. You have to go out there and perform like the starter. And that's another mentality. I don't feel like a
line up 3 times too. Like it's not like one of those. Oh yeah, we're gonna catch them off guard. Like you're gonna play them for 4 quarters. They're gonna figure it out.
Yeah. They can make the adjustments there. So. Also, Evans says, is there any chance we could become ranked after this weekend if the 20 to 25 teams lose?
No.
Yeah, I mean, you take a lot of chaos, right?
It's not happening.
Well, because we say they were at 31 right now, 30 technically. So you're telling, I just don't know a team that's inactive. They would jump up 6-7 spots.
They wouldn't.
They just wouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that they can't get closer. And I think we can all agree if they do beat LSU, they're for sure ranked, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe the LSU, they'll be ranked.
Okay. So for those of you who are wanting to see that little number next to your name, Arkansas, there in a game, there's your recipe. Go out and beat LSU, and you will get that. Rainey comes in and says, what exactly did Malachi show to be the starter? TV blatantly let him score.
I think Taylon Green showed that he hurt his knee. And so it's not a question of Singleton starting over Taylon Green. I don't think we're having that discussion.
Coming in hot from the chat, just like F Malachi Singleton. No, yeah, I agree. It's definitely not like if Taylon's healthy, he's the guy. I don't think there's any question about that. But I mean, in this context, over Blake Boda and KJ Jackson, I think Singleton gets that nod. But also, that's controversial. People don't like hearing that they let him score.
Yeah, I don't want to relive that, but still, I just don't understand how anyone says that they blatantly did not let them score there. I just don't understand what people are looking at when they're like, no, that was just a hard-earned touchdown that he had to really make a play there. It's like, yeah, no, he made a play, and I think that they were casually starting, but once he started heading towards the end zone, out of this. And it was the right call.
The SEC awarded him because they saw that Tennessee was guns a-blazing on that play.
He also led the drive the 60 yards down the field to get him in that spot. To answer the original question up there, Yeah.
Malachi earned his stripes a little bit. He grew up.
Hey, listen, I'm not going to throw shade, but I am. Malik Hornsby doesn't do that.
Hell no.
Just saying.
Well, and that's, there's your example of randomly having to insert a backup as a starter against LSU at home. It doesn't go quite the way you think it would.
Cade Fortin ain't walking through that door to throw that touchdown pass. So.
Yeah, I feel a lot more confident in Malachi than I did for that game. Once it became clear that KJ wasn't playing, I was like, ooh, that's a tough one.
That was a disgusting game.
Yeah, let's never relive that one.
What the final score in that one wind up being?
13-10.
Yeah, that was nasty, man.
And it was cold because I remember I was there. It was freezing cold. It was an 11 a.m. game. And Harold Perkins had 18 sacks, and that was it was just a weird game because Arkansas was getting that. That was also what was weird about it, is because Arkansas's defense, that was a year everybody was just calling their shot, 500 yards, giving up a game, but against LSU for some reason they're like 13 points. We're not going to do any more than that.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels was horrible in that game. I remember him throwing one of the worst picks I've ever seen on their first drive, and I was like, holy cow, Arkansas is going to have a chance to win. It's crazy I'm about to say a wild sentence. If Arkansas had started Cade Fortin in that game, they probably beat LSU.
That's wild, but
it's wild that's even a thing.
Man, it's just Cade Fortin. What was he transferred from? Was it UCF or was
USF,
it somewhere?
I believe.
USF.
South Florida. He was the backup at South Florida and then transferred to Arkansas.
Man, those were weird times. Yeah, those were weird times in quarterback because Hornsby, remember him getting into the portal, them getting out of the portal, even though Sam Pittman said, hey, once you get in the portal, you can't come back. But then he came back. It's weird times.
He tweeted a weird thing where he tweeted and was like, I'm entering the portal.
Yeah.
And then I remember we confirmed it with Kyle and ran a story about it. And people were like, he was just kidding. He was just kidding.
Just having a goof. Just joking, man.
And what made it tough is that a week later, he did exit out of the portal. And so people were like, see, he was kidding. I'm like, no, he entered the portal. It was was a whole mess.
Malik Hornsby has 2 receptions for 9 yards at Arkansas State.
There you go.
Heck yeah. Man, he was one of the fastest quarterbacks Arkansas's had, though, as far as just like acceleration speed. He did have that going for him.
He was one of the fastest human beings that have ever stepped foot at Arkansas. That dude was a freaking freak athlete.
Yeah.
He did have 1 carry for 11 yards in Arkansas State's 18-16 victory over South Alabama.
This is his final year, right? It has to be.
He's listed as a junior on this. I don't know.
2020 was his freshman year, so I guess he's got the COVID year, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. One of those is a redshirt year, I guess. I don't know.
It's ESPN. I don't know what he's listed at on their actual roster, but I don't even know how that's possible. It doesn't even have him as a redshirt junior or anything. Just junior.
Straight up junior.
Yeah, because he was at Texas State last year, right? Wasn't that where he transferred to?
Mm-hmm.
And then
lost a battle to TJ Finley.
Man, still, all the connections there. All the connections. High School Mindrop says, do you think Shipley will be the kicker? Didn't see the Ramsey injury.
We'll see if he still has a groin next week. Oh, Ramsey.
Groins
also, Ramsey, why does he keep getting injured so much as a kicker? Like, no disrespect.
They got to get him stretched out, man. Maybe he's not limber enough. Because it was the same thing in camp, right?
Yeah. Also, he was, but I mean, like the reason it duped me the other night where I didn't even realize he got injured, after he missed the 42-yarder or whatever, I kind of thought they might bench him anyway. And so I think unless Shipley's just shanking him at practice, I think Shipley should probably get a chance anyway.
I was getting irritated. I know we talked about this, Andrew, on the report card, but just they kept saying over and over on the broadcast, no, Arkansas's got a backup kicker. I don't know. They got a backup kicker. You got to keep in mind they got a backup kicker. I'm just screaming at the television the whole time. He was a Lou Groza Award semifinalist last season. I mean, he's good. It's not like he's some true freshman walk-on from, where Alma or something. I mean, what are we doing?
Well, considering how apparently, again, I didn't watch the broadcast, but considering how many players' names they got wrong and everything, I don't know how much homework they did on the backup kicker, and all of that. Because to be honest, and I'm not defending him, but to be honest, if it was me, I'd be like, oh, I just assume the backup kicker sucks.
It would be an easy assumption to make when the starter was like 54%.
Yeah.
You're probably like, God, the other guy must really suck.
Yeah.
That has to be probably like the worst position ever being the backup kicker when the starter's hitting 50%.
Yeah.
That's got to be
you've got you're like a 75% kicker for your career. It's like, geez, man. I would have been disrespected, frankly. By the way, we didn't talk about this. What'd y'all think of what's his name? I'm blanking on the kid's name now. The backup center for all those years. The former he's an offensive lineman that came in for short yardage the other day. Why am I blanking on this kid's name? Josh Street. Josh Street, yes. We didn't talk about this, but he did get in there, number 96 or whatever. He got in there the other day, and it looked a little confused. They looked a little confused up front. But to answer your question, Zach Ward, it was Josh Street whose name I was about to lose it if I couldn't pull Josh Street's name from the archives.
Did you see the viral clip of Maddox Lassiter flattening the dude?
I did see that clip, and I like that clip. Maddox Lassiter, man, he's a legit piece. Who needs Posky when you got Lassiter?
Exactly. And we talked about him on the show one day, and then as soon as we got off, we kind of did some research on him and realized that Maddox Lassiter was like an all everything contributor. Like his stats were insane.
One of the best high school football players anybody's ever seen. Apparently, I should say that he's from Warren, so he's like
Lumberjacks, man.
Not even a top 5 player from his own high school of the last decade.
I'm going to throw this out there just the way that people can hear it. Maddox Lassiter, as a senior at Warren High School, passed for 2,221 yards and 23 touchdowns, while also rushing 142 times for 1,100 yards and 16 touchdowns. Also tallied 161 tackles, 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hurries, 2 forced fumbles, 2 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. This is all during his senior season. What? That's insane.
That's Iron Man ball right there.
That's crazy, dude.
How is he still alive? Like, how is he still upright? Like,
he's like a modern day. Well, modern days, he's Travis Hunter. He just put him in anywhere on the field, man. What are we doing?
Modern day Travis
Hunter. Put him on the video game instead. I get Travis Hunter and Lassiter just out there. Like And the fact that his name is such a cool Maddox Lassiter.
Yeah.
Just a great name.
You think it's like a tall task to ask a true or like a redshirt freshman walk-on to play fullback, but it's like for him, you read that, you're like, all he has to do is play one position. I just got to go out there and hit one guy. I could do that. I don't care who it is. Love to see that from Maddox Lassiter. People like him are like, that's what Arkansas football is all about.
It's true.
You don't want to have a team full of those, but you got to have one of those somewhere on your roster.
Got to have like like what Kiro Small was, where he was like a 2-star player coming out of high school. No one knew it, but they just like, hey, just go out there and hit somebody. And
also,
did.
How many trick play options does this Arkansas offense have?
I mean, the possibilities are endless. That's a good point.
Yeah, SCT says Tesla also played a little bit of QB back in the day as well. Like anybody can throw the ball, so you gotta be weary of that.
And they haven't tried any of that yet this year, right? They haven't tried to do I know they had some trick plays, but I don't think there was ever any like wide receiver passes.
Yeah, nobody else has thrown a pass. A non-quarterback hasn't thrown a pass, to my knowledge.
Dude, watch them throw Talon a pass, and we just determine that like Talon is a NFL wide receiver.
Oh, it won't take the pass won't even be caught before people are saying that. They're waiting.
Yeah. I hope it's like a little like halfback toss over to the right, like the strong side over here, and then going to Jackson's running, and then he just throws it to a wheel route of Taylon Green going down the sidelines.
Gosh.
That'd be pretty fun. That would be a lot of fun. But yeah, as long as it's not Kendall, as SCT said, it's like as long as it's not Kendall Briles running those plays, because those were always epic fails every single time.
Yep.
So he was not the trick play master, as some try to make him out to be. We just got a few minutes here before we wrap up. It's a little Razorback stuff though, but the Jets fired Robert Saleh. So
yeah, dude, did you see that he was in the building like doing his job? Like he just had gotten there this morning, like was ready to watch tape, do whatever head coaches do, and then got escorted out.
Like
they didn't hit him with the Jamal Adams. His key card doesn't work. They let him get into the building before they were like, "Hey, sir, we're gonna have to ask you to leave."
What happened? They just suck? Or
they lost in London, and reports say Woody Johnson, the owner of the Jets, has a lot of big-time friends of influence over there in London, and they embarrassed him. The team embarrassed him, so he fired Robert Saleh. So I was like, great. Jets,
dude, I got to be honest. As a fan of a team who got busted up by the Minnesota Vikings, there's no shame in running into that wagon, dude. They're really good. I don't know what it is about them. Sam Darnold, weirdly enough, didn't even play that well the other day, but like, losing to the Vikings by a possession is really not fire material, I don't think. I really don't. They're 5-0. They're like the best team in the NFL. Like you lose by 6 in London, and the Jets are now 2-3. So I mean, it's been a disappointing start, but like, yeah, I don't know. That's that I did not expect to see that this morning.
Yeah, it's a disappointing start. It's a disappointing finish. It's disappointing midseason. It's always disappointing for the Jets, but. Yeah, I'm sure everything will be fine though. Now, like they'll be able to get it going, and everything's gonna be fine. But yeah, that was it's not like they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I thought that was kind of strange, but still, I actually liked Robert Saleh. I thought he was doing some good things, but you got to move on. You got to move on. There's another story.
Bald head, man.
Yeah, well, I mean the defense looked pretty good. Oh yeah, I was gonna bring this up. So. I think James Franklin is summoning his inner Eric Musselman. As I meant to upload this video, and I didn't, so I'm just going to talk about it. But James Franklin's pissed, all right, because they have to go to USC. And we know the Big Ten and traveling. And he says that the limited length of the runway at the State College Airport has forced Penn State to have to bus for an hour over to Harrisburg to be able to fly to Los Angeles. And he's like, it changes a lot of things. And there's a lot of concerns about that. We know it's something we need to look into, da-da-da-da. I'm like, you have to bus an hour? And you're saying that's a major problem?
I have no doubt in my mind that there are self-proclaimed aviation experts in our chat. Can somebody explain to me why that matters? Like, if you have an airport with a runway and a plane can get in the air, couldn't it just go anywhere? Like, once it's in the air, can it just... You know what I mean? Like, what the hell are we doing here? I don't understand.
Seems like it would be more of an issue for the return flight home. Like maybe you have to fly home into Harrisburg.
Yeah, at which point you don't care. Yeah.
When you first said bus, I thought you were about to say they were going to bus to LA, in which case I would have had his back. I'd have been
yeah.
Plus an hour to Harrisburg. You get to catch a Senators game and then hit the road. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you, Curtis, too, because I'm sure there's going to be like, somebody's going to be like, technically, this is why the pavement is a certain naked model. It's
I'm legit. I'm staring down the chat, waiting for somebody to explain that to me. I'm sure there's something to it, but like, do you really have to get 0 to 100 before you get your plane in the air to get it from Pennsylvania to LA, as opposed to Dallas or something? I don't know.
You know, my buddy Brendan, he's like an engineer and he does like stuff on airplanes and airports and stuff. Like we could call him right now on the show and ask him.
I really want to know. I see Bobby here. He says runway might not be big enough for the size plane they need. So maybe you need a bigger plane to go that far.
No. Let me see if I can give
Brendan. I don't know. Yeah.
I guess
Brendan a call.
Runway to ramp up to fly. I guess. I mean, look, I'm not an aviation guy. I thought Eric going global would have the answer. I mean, because Eric going global, he travels. He knows.
Hey, Brendan.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a quick question for you.
What you got?
Is there a particular reason why James Franklin's trying to fly from Penn State to USC, but he says he has to go to a different airport because he says the limited length of the runway at their state college airport has forced them to bus over to a bigger airport. But we were saying if you have an airplane, you can just fly anywhere. Why does it matter about the runway? Do you have any explanation as to why that would matter?
Am I on the air?
No.
It sounds like I'm on the air.
You're not.
No, I mean, for you to have an airplane fly all the way across the country from Pennsylvania to LA, it's a pretty good size. And you have a plane, the longer of a runway needs. So, is this like a team or is this just a little PJ? Is this a team flight?
Yeah, it's a team flight, so it's probably a pretty big one.
Yeah, there's not an airport in State College take a plane that can hold a football team. So they would have to go to Philadelphia or Pittsburgh and then fly from there.
Okay. Excellent. Well, that's all we needed, Brendan. We appreciate it.
All right. See ya.
So there you have it. Brendan coming through in the clutch.
Oh yeah, Brendan.
Great work from Brendan. I'm also wondering now, do they use different planes like when they're flying to?
That's what I was about to ask. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do they?
The whole team's getting on the plane no matter where they go. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Weird stuff, man. Yeah. This doesn't happen in the problems of the SEC. I can tell you that.
That was very much like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire phone call, just out of nowhere.
Well, I know.
On the air.
Well, I'm going to be honest because I know they don't watch because they don't like me. But like all my friends are all engineers, and there's never anything I ever need them for when it comes to their because they all like design roads and airports and crap like that. So it's like there's nothing sports related that I can ever like call on them to be like, hey, help me out here. So I was like, this is as close as it's ever going to get. So yeah, I want to put that out there. Braden says Brendan has that voice that they put to silhouettes and murder docs. Man, jeez,
Brendan's good people.
Yeah, Brendan is good people. He's probably still recovering from his tailgating time, but I'm sure I'm going to hear about it later.
Oh, man,
he was not thrilled to hear from you. It didn't sound like.
Well, no, because my friends, they hate talking on the phone. 100% they hate it. So if I call them, they're like. They usually think it's bad news.
What do you want, dude?
Yeah,
exactly. I'm not a big phone call guy either. Just text me.
I mean, it depends on what you're wanting. Like if you're wanting to like talk about something like that's requires that, but if it's just literally something you could have sent me in a text, then yeah, I get a little irritated.
I'm to the point where I don't mind phone calls, but I like to know they're coming. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I'm just doing stuff. I feel like if I get on the phone, then I'm not going to be able to get off of it. And it's easy to just send a message or say, hey, can I call you later or something like that. If I get the spontaneous phone call, I'm always like, come on, man.
Dude, it's getting off the phone is one of the hardest and most stressful things in the world where you just kind of have to do all right, I'll talk to you later, man. It's like, I don't know, man. And I don't know. I'm kind of anti phone call.
Yeah. This is something else that makes sense. The fuel. Having to carry more fuel that far. Yeah,
sure. Would make sense.
We have some good answers there in the chat.
I
understand it more now than I did before. Initially, I was like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, this was a good productive combo. Can I get you guys to indulge me for just a second? I want to talk a little Heisman.
Oh,
Okay.
Do y'all have an opinion on like who y'all's Heisman is, or who y'all think should be winning the Heisman? I'll read you the odds if you want to know them.
I know who I like. Before you give the odds, I just want to throw out there the Boise State running back. I love that dude. Anyway, carry on.
He's on an insane run, and he is currently, according to FanDuel, he has the best odds.
Oh wow!
To win the Heisman.
What's his name?
Jeanty?
Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah. Because according to BetSaracen, he's at plus 230.
Saracen has Heisman odds.
Yeah.
Oh,
hell
nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's
plus
230. You said.
Yeah, he's plus 230 for that. Travis Hunter's at plus 325.
There you go.
And then Cameron Ward's at plus 450.
Okay. So it
Those
seems to be pretty close to consensus everywhere. I think that's the top three.
Yeah.
I think, I'll be honest with you, Travis Hunter, dude, it's going to be hard to not give that dude the Heisman. He's
Especially if we
unbelievable.
win a few more games, you know?
Right. It'll be interesting to see like if Boise State goes like 7-5, 8-4, and Colorado goes 6-6, if you have like the top two Heisman vote getters on just like random teams. But those have been the two best players in the country, if you ask me. Cam Ward has been good. I love Cam Ward. I think he's probably going to end up being the first quarterback taken in the draft. And he's had a cool story coming from like the low ranks, working his way up. Now he's at Miami. They've had to come from behind a lot. I don't know if I buy him as a Heisman. Like, I don't know if he's gonna win the Heisman.
They've been flirting with disaster the last couple of weeks. They've been bailed out 2 weeks in a row.
The 25-point comeback last week against
Cal.
Oh yeah, against
Woke and Coke.
Yeah, Woke versus Coke, man. The signs were really good.
They were.
Or I saw one sign that was like, "Y'all are blocking the library." I saw the Woke versus Coke sign. Like, there was a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah.
Hey, Taylon Green's at plus 25,000 for Heisman. If you want in on that.
Okay.
KJ Jefferson,
Arkansas to the playoff. You know.
Yeah. KJ Jefferson's plus 20,000. So
better odds than Taylon, eh?
Better odds than Taylon.
Disrespectful.
As of right now.
Did UCF lose to Florida, by the way?
Yep.
They got their ass kicked.
Yeah. Shameful.
Yeah. Florida is low key kind of, if there's any way to bounce back from what happened to them at the beginning of the year, they've kind of done it. Went and beat the crap out of, I know Mississippi State stinks, but you beat the hell out of them on the road, got the bye. You avoided the in-state disaster, took care of business against UCF. I mean, they're kind of,
they were underdogs in that game against UCF too. And also the blowout to A&M looks better and better now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Although it was the backup quarterback that blew him out. So that's a little tough.
Yeah.
Well, I was also laughing at some of these odds too, because Rocket Sanders is at plus 25,000 as well to win the Heisman. But how crazy is it that now Ollie Gordon is also at plus 25,000? Him and Taylon Green have the same odds to win the Heisman. The guy who won the dope
Ollie
walker.
Gordon is eliminated from Heisman contention in my eyes. I mean, he has like 12 yards on the year. Milrose at 9-1. I gotta be honest with you. I don't hate betting on Milroe here.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to finish what? Worst case 10-2?
Probably.
They do have to play Texas though, don't they?
No, Bama does not play Texas.
They don't?
They play Oklahoma.
I mean, dude, if Bama wins
Texas,
out, if Bama wins out and wins the SEC title, I think Milroe is going to be worst case like second or third in the Heisman voting. You'd like to have that 9-1 ticket in your back pocket.
Man, Ollie Gordon, he's doing the Rocket Sanders thing. Just has an incredible year, and then the offensive line's kind of in shambles, and he vastly underperforms.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's good. I mean, dude won the Doak Walker last year, and he's averaging under 4 yards per carry this season. It's crazy.
Yeah. Seeing these odds, I don't know. It's just so interesting. Like Shadur Sanders at plus 4,000 for this.
It's crazy that he's plus 4,000. I would have thought he would have better odds than like Taylon Green.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he does have much better odds than Taylon Green.
Oh, yeah, he's 25,000, not
25,000.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Jackson Dart's at plus 1,750. Cade Klubnik, however say his name, plus 1,750 for
I will
him.
say Jackson Dart's not a bad ticket to have either.
He's going to put up numbies.
I mean, yeah, because he's going to end up the year with 4,200 passing yards and 600 rushing yards, and they're going to maybe be 9-3, 10-2.
Yeah, that's true.
You know.
Let's see. Oh, we're about to wrap up here, but just to pass along a message from my buddy Brendan, who we called. He says, "Damn it, John, I still don't have a voice from the game." That's why his voice sounded like that. So,
Does he now know that he was on the air?
Well, that's his fault because he doesn't watch me anyway. So I'm blaming him. It's like you could have.
Well, he should know the timing.
Well, they don't care. They don't like what I do. They don't care because I'm not in like helping out humanity because I don't design terrible highways just to get torn up and repaved in 2 years. So like the rest of them. But either way,
Get some beef here.
yeah. Well, it's just no. It is. They also think that every time I was in radio, it just drive me crazy because they're like, "You work 3 hours a day," and I'm like, "It's not like that's it. I'm on the air for 3 hours. It's more than that." So, anyways, it's whatever. Before we get out of here, guys, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
No. I hate this because I think about it before every show. I'm like, what are my final thoughts going to be and then we talk about stuff and I just got nothing by the end.
I know.
Talk about aviation.
I feel like I got it all out there, Good luck to Penn State and their flight this weekend.
Yep.
Yes, Mr. Bloodline, you missed the Taylor Green injury update. I would recommend everyone in the chat listen to the show every now and then.
Yep.
Because if you ask a question, there's a good chance that we talked about it in the hour and a half. And if we didn't, we'll probably talk about it tomorrow for an hour and a half.
Yeah, because if you want an injury update, there's not one.
Wait, we're the only ones cranking out content on the bye week, low key in Arkansas media.
Hey, listen, show must go on. We don't stop for nobody. No slowing down. Even though it's gonna, who knows? Maybe by Thursday we're kind of sitting here being like, oh gosh, 45-minute show. The internet went out. Like maybe just kind of moving on. But
darn Ozarks go.
Yeah, it gets us every time. Time.
Hey, but no stream Thursday night. I don't even know what I'm gonna do on Thursday night.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about like I may just stream and sit here with no pants on and just play video games and talk to people like I did that one time. It's usually a good use of my time. So. Anyways, that's a good way to end it. Appreciate everybody listening in and watching in to Inside Arkansas Live. Be sure to subscribe to our Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page. Check out our website at insidearkansas.com. And I need to say this more, but also leave a like here on this video if you enjoyed what you watched. So that way YouTube likes it and they like us and they continue to help us out and growing the brand of Inside Arkansas. So we really appreciate that. So for Andrew Ellis and Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.